Hello and welcome to the Next 100 Days podcast. My name is Graham Arrowsmith.
And my name's Kevin Appleby. So Graham, we're very privileged today to have somebody from the world of real media with us. Not all this social media stuff on Facebook and YouTube and all the rest of it, but somebody who actually makes proper media.
Kevin, his name is Brandon T. Adams. Now, I think T stands for terrific, but I might be wrong. But the point is, Brandon, welcome to the Next 100 Days podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. I've heard the terrific before. I've heard Titan.
Titan.
My middle name is actually Taylor. But Brandon T. Adams. Yeah, my mom's like, don't change your name.
No.
Good to be here.
Do as your mum tells you, and I have to say, you're a speaker, you're a coach, you're a video marketing expert, and you went on the equivalent of Dragon's Den, which is Shark Tank over in America, and I mean your story starts before then, of course, because you came from Iowa, and your dad, is your dad still with you? Is he still there?
He is, yeah.
Oh, wonderful! Because that guy looks like he's the real deal, and I have to say, he a very impressive chap. But he had a particular business. Why don't we just start the conversation there?
Yes. So my dad he was an entrepreneur his whole life. I always say I was born in '89, so as soon as I was born, I'm like put into entrepreneurship as a kid. Yeah. He got into the ice business. So in 1986, he started a business called Adams Ice Service, where he wholesale distributor. He delivered packaged ice, bags of ice with cubes. He would deliver to convenience stores, bars, restaurants, you name it. And so I worked in that business growing up as a kid. So people, they would go play baseball in the summer. I worked in the ice business, and I would just constantly work. And I love that. And I learned sales, I learned negotiation, I learned customer relationship. I learned everything, because think about it, guys. I was delivering ice. I was a delivery guy. And so I would go to these stores, and it's like I'm meeting with entrepreneurs, from the person that owned a convenience store, owned a gas station, a restaurant, a bar, a grocery store, events. And so I got to meet so many entrepreneurs, and I got to see them go through hardships. Some make it, some didn't. And it was such a good education for me at a young age to really understand business. And so that was my big beginning.
You couldn't get there late though, could you? Because your stock would just disappear, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Be nice.
Yeah.
So you'd have to be on time every time, I guess. But presumably these came in big lumps or whatever, and then they kind of chop them up.
Yes.
How does it work?
So good question. So there's these big manufacturers, and what would happen is, in this case, it's tubed ice. And it's funny, I always give an education on ice when people ask me, because I'm very particular on it. I did it for a good part of my life.
Yeah. So
think of all these rods, and these rods, the water would form on it and freeze, and there'd be these tubes. And then what would happen is they'd put hot air. The system would be the hot liquid going through the pipe. Sure. And then basically the cubes would fall down. So think of these long cubes falling down into this rake, and then he would break them up into tubes, and then he would go into a dry ice. So it'd be packaged dry, not wet. And then they would bag it into 20-pound, 5-pound bags. And then what would happen is we would get it, and then we would distribute it. So that's the process of it. It's pretty interesting how they do it.
And did the water come from a really cool river or something in Iowa? Was it presumably?
Yeah, no, not from a river. I mean, it was all purified. And it's crazy the process they go through with it, because most people, they take it for granted. They get their ice or drinking, and they don't even think where it came from.
No.
But yeah, it's crazy kind of thinking back in time, because I did that until I was 27 years old. I'm 33 now.
Right.
I sold the business because I bought it from my father, sold it. But a decade ago, 13 years ago, I started transitioning into an online world, because I realized I didn't want to sell ice for the rest of my life. And so it's an interesting transition, but it was a foundation of my career to really understand business.
You then, I mean, I don't, you've probably read all about this, Kevin. I mean, because I know you're notorious for doing your research, but I mean, for me, I actually looked at his website and, what can I say? I mean, I was so impressed with some of the videos he had on there, but there was when you moved and you pivoted into sort of online, what were your early experiences of that? Because you presumably had a product in mind, or you had several products in mind, etc., and you wanted to move into those things. You obviously said, don't want to sell ice. I want to move into online. What was it that what were you trying to sell at that moment?
Yeah. So I wanted to grow and I wanted to be outside of having to need a freezer for our ice.
Yeah.
And so that's where I came up with this invention called Arctic Stick to cool and flavor drinks. And so it was made out of polypropylene, be something that fit liquid into it. You could freeze it. You could cool drink, a bottled beverage specifically, and you could flavor drink. Okay. And so while delivering ice one day, I came up with that. And that invention I ended up launching on the market, got patents, trademarks. But that invention was really the pioneer for me got me into the online world, because while taking it to market, I was still in the ice business doing the Arctic Stick. I had to understand fundraising. I had to raise money, but also I was pitching myself. I was pitching the product. I went on Shark Tank casting calls. So I pitched in front of the group. Yeah. And then that led me to getting into crowdfunding and video production. So that was my first endeavor. And it was a product to introduce to the ice market, but it led me to other things that I do today.
So it was an Arctic Stick, and it's a bit like I don't know,
like a tube. It looks like a bullet. Yeah. It's about that long. It fits in bottled beverages, and you twist the top, and if you had flavor in it could flow out. But some you just throw in the freezer, it stays contained, and then you can reuse it. That was the thing; it was reusable,
and it would literally cool down a glass of water or whatever.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it would cool. And we would have a 6-pack in a cooler, or specifically it was made for bottled beverages, because ice cubes are hard to fit in a top of a bottle.
Yeah.
So I wanted something easier. And we had through many different CAD files, drawings, and different parts of the invention. One was it came out the top, one of the sides. I spent over $100,000 on this endeavor to bring it to market. But the biggest thing I took away from it is it taught me other things like fundraising, video marketing, production, all those things that I do today.
That's something that I'm particularly keen on and hearing from you on is this idea of crowdfunding and fundraising for. Presumably, it was fundraising for the Arctic Stick then.
Yeah. That was specifically for raising money for the Arctic Stick. We did a Kickstarter campaign we launched, this is 2014.
Right.
And so we raised $26,000, and over a 30-day span, I got press, I got media, I was doing events. I was doing a lot of stuff to raise money. And what I found out is a lot of people didn't understand how to use crowdfunding. And I saw an opportunity for me to become the expert in the space. And then that's what I started doing, building a brand around me as a crowdfunding expert.
Yeah. I mean, is it a bit like in the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed man's king? So basically you'd gone through that crowdfunding thing. You learned quicker than the rest of them. You were a chapter ahead. Hell, it was your market.
Kind of. I was king of crowdfunding. I used that kind of term and bought the domain. And it was, I became known for that. But then what I did is I helped a few influential people have successful crowdfunding campaigns. And so that was kind of the moment that allowed me to really build out that business.
Yeah. I mean, name names, Brandon. We want to know who you helped.
Yeah. So I helped John Lee Dumas at Entrepreneurs on Fire raise $500,000 in a month for the Freedom Journal and then the Mastery Journal. It was the 5th largest crowdfunding campaign in history. Then I went on to do a campaign for Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. Mm-hmm. We did a book launch, which led to an invention product that did 150 million in revenue since then. And then I did the Think and Grow Rich movie. So I'm a producer of the movie Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy, which is based on the book Think and Grow Rich.
Sure.
I helped them raise money. It was the largest crowdfunding campaign in history for docudrama.
Yeah.
So I did a couple of these campaigns, and then it obviously helped me build my brand and opportunity. And then I started actually transitioning. I got out of crowdfunding, even though I still understand how to do it.
Yeah.
I got in front of the camera and started producing my own TV shows.
So, Brandon, now, you've gone there in that short story you've told us. You've gone from delivering ice for your dad, buying the business, running it, inventing a product, realizing crowdfunding's there, becoming the king of crowdfunding, doing these big things for other big names, and now here you are. You've flipped again, and you're an executive producer. You've pivoted.
Yeah, I kept pivoting. Yeah.
Brandon, what's your purpose? What do you reckon your purpose is? Because you've gone through a number of things there.
Yeah, I mean, my purpose is to be the best me. You know, I've interviewed hundreds, maybe even over 1,000 people, entrepreneurs, people from all walks of life, from filming shows, podcasting. And I've got to be around some very influential people and learn from them. And so I have so many different perspectives on life. And so for my purpose, I just want to be the best me. I want to help as many people as possible. I'm 33 years old. I'm in a stage of my life where growing massive wealth. I really believe in creating generational wealth and just doing good with it. And so that's what in terms of my area of expertise that I'm helping people is I'm helping them grow their business and their personal life, specifically through video marketing and sharing their story, and also through my connections and wisdom that I've gained over the years. And so I really love seeing companies that they want to take it to the next level, and I come in and help them do that, specifically through whether social media, video marketing. And then I speak. I mean, I'm booking out an event a week right now, and I'm speaking on stages, and that's more of a give back for me, and just really help people because I love speaking. I mean, speaking for me came from pitching. Like I never went out and said, I'm going to be a motivational speaker. I was pitching in front of crowds and they said, oh, you're very inspiring, motivating. And then that led to me doing more of that along the way. So that's my purpose. I want to be the best I can be.
Yeah. So I have done some research. I know you're always ribbing me for not doing research, but no, I was looking at Brandon and found the information about the movie you mentioned.
Yeah.
But I also found the Amazon Prime TV series, Success in Your City. Tried to watch an episode, but it's strangely not available on Amazon Prime in the UK.
Yeah.
Tell us about Success in Your City.
So Success in Your City is an amazing show my wife and I did, where we traveled the country and really to answer this question, what is success? We lived in different cities. We filmed with people from athletes to musicians to entrepreneurs to people living on the streets to you name it, like all walks of life. Right. And we would go in a city. We would live there. I would fly in my film crew and we would film for 4 days, create a whole episode, and then go to the next city. And so we did that in 2018, created a whole series. I ended up winning some Emmys for that. And the journey was crazy because like in the process of doing it, my wife and I almost went bankrupt. We lost everything and then gained it back. But also like we got married that year. We sold our house. We sold everything we owned and filmed this show. And so that show released in 2019. We did a theater premiere that we released on Amazon Prime. And then it was about a year ago, which is interesting time right now. Everything is you can't actually watch it right now because we're in the middle of a distribution deal with the company that I'm actually a shareholder in, Bespoke TV. And so April 27th, which is coming up before you know it, we're re-releasing the show through cable, streaming all over around the world. And so that's what the show is. It answers the question, what does success mean to you? And we give different stories. It's like a docu-series, but it also brings people into the life of my wife and I. Yeah. And so it's crazy. And the best part is, guys, like we ended up writing a book on it, the journey. We got done with the show and we're like, we got to write a book on this to share what we actually went through. So we wrote the book, The Road to Success, How to Achieve Success in Business, Life, and Love, made it a bestseller. And so we got a book that goes with it as well. We did it backwards because most people do the book and then they do the show. We did the show and then wrote a book on the show.
Wow.
So Brandon, what is success?
You know, that is a great question that's always changing for me. Like I said before, like success is being the best I can be as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, as a husband, and just to my family. And I think success is different for everybody. I think when you look at success online, you're obviously going to see like people are going to say what their success is. Everybody's preaching their success. They're preaching what they believe in, which is good, but everybody has their own version. It doesn't necessarily mean it's having a lot of money, having fancy cars and mansions, everything else. And that's great. Nothing wrong with that. But if that's your true thing, if that's all you want, you're going to become unhappy. You got to actually find something inner that makes you happy. Sure. And so for me is success is mastering your craft and being the best you can be at what you do and helping people along the process. And I think the question to throw back is every person should ask themselves, what does success mean to you? Not your family, not your audience. What does it mean to you? Because once you figure out what it means to you, it's easier to get to where you want to go in that realm.
Behind you, I'm going to assume, because I've never seen one, I don't have any of those. Are they Emmys?
They're Emmys, yes. There's two. I can't claim all of them. So 2 are mine and 2 are my wife's, because we did the shows together. One is for the show Success in Your City. And then we also did a documentary called Red Flags that also won Emmys. Wow.
I mean, you and your wife, hugely talented. How did you look out and marry her?
He's
I'm very lucky.
Punching above his weight, even though he looks like Tom Cruise. He's punching above.
Yeah, I'm definitely I'm very lucky. Decade together almost. She was with me along the whole journey, the up and down. And it's anybody in a relationship that is in business, it's not easy. At one point we had our car repoed, almost got evicted, and we're eating tuna and we had nothing. And then it's great now because I'm in a much better place. But that journey was difficult. And when you have your significant other along for the ride, you go through it together. And
Brandon, if you were eating tuna, you were still okay, weren't you? Because you could have been eating sardines.
I could have.
You could have got down that level.
Tuna is good.
But tuna. Okay, you were having a hard time. But I guess I can't wait to see the series. The 27th of April. Hopefully, it's going to come over here to the UK, because I think you're an absolute legend. You're younger. You're so in the middle of my kids' ages. So basically, you're. I kind of get the millennial in you.
I actually watched the trailer for the first episode, Graham. The trailer's online. It's about 5 minutes long, and it's about a baseball star in the US gives up his baseball career at the prime because it feels it's not his purpose. Goes into business collapses, and then he's virtually committed suicide when he finds out what his purpose actually is. I was really disappointed that I couldn't watch the rest of the episode.
Jump on a plane, Kevin. Get yourself over to Florida. But and
watch Brandon says it says on Amazon Prime, it's not available in the UK.
It's a teaser.
Not available anywhere.
It's a teaser.
It sure is. But the thing about yourself is that you're obviously you're hugely motivated to achieve whatever that inner level of success is. But you're still 33. Yeah. And the people that you have recently been helping, the Kevin Harringtons of the world, etc., they're a bit older, they've been round the block a couple more times, etc. And you helped them. And what was it about you that, Kevin in particular, really liked about you? And don't be immodest. He must have really picked up on something that you had that maybe others just didn't.
I will say this. I, for one, get shit done. But also when I say something, I actually do it. I know that sounds very simple, but when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And sometimes when I say it, I'm like, oh man, shit, I'm along for a ride now. Because I go through and I follow through with it. But also I think it's that inspiration. Like they see me, like Kevin, for example, sees this guy that's motivated and driven. And it's like the eye you have. When you look at somebody in the eyes and you can see they got it. Like they're going to do whatever it takes. He saw that, but it was multiple wins along the way. I proved myself. And if you want to get any influential person's attention, there's a couple of things you can do. One, help them achieve their goals. 2, make them money. Simple as that. Make them money, help them make their life easier. And I did that. And I started executing on things. We did a book launch together. I have a claim to fame is Kevin is the only shark from Shark Tank that has an Emmy. And it's because of me. And so The show won Emmys, but the Sharks themselves didn't win Emmys. So Kevin has an Emmy, one of those from one of our projects.
Wow.
And so I helped him with that. We did multiple launches together. I helped him grow his portfolio, and we all made a bunch of money along the way. But that's really what it is. And I'm a good person. Like I really want to help him. He is, if there's one leader I look at, like I'm a leader, but if there's one leader that I will learn to I follow and lead, is Kevin Harrington, because I believe in him. Yeah. I believe in what he's doing, and he's brought so much to me, opportunity. And so I think it's that just taking action. So many people come to you, even to me today, and they're like, oh, I'll help you. I'm going to be your next success story, whatever it is. Talk is cheap. It's, are you willing to make the sacrifice and actually do what you say you're going to do? And it's very rare that somebody actually follows through. But when they do, they become a friend of mine. They become an associate.
And so Kevin and other people like him are selecting you from possibly alternatives, but they really like you. If you had to describe your diary, you know, maybe not every day, but what does it look like next week, for instance? What kinds of things will you be doing for the types of people like Kevin? Maybe not just Kevin next week, but for the type of people that you're serving right now. What does your diary look like?
Yeah. So to give kind of the background, like I'm a shareholder in about 30 some companies from all ranges, from telemedicine to we're in products, we're in tech, we're in all of it. And so what I do is I help grow them companies, and we look for upside, whether IPO, exit, whatever it is. Sure. And so it may consist of me going and doing a commercial shoot for the company I'm a partner in, producing the content and bringing it all together to go do a shoot. It could be me speaking on a stage promoting for that company. Could be me doing an investor dinner where we have this lunch with all these influential people and we're talking about a company. Could be me doing a Zoom call. Next week, I'm doing a commercial shoot here in Florida for one of our companies called New Age Medical. So we're doing a shoot. We're going to cut that up. We're going to do some TV advertising with it. So that's like what it looks like. Now, when I'm home now. I've been traveling for so much. I've been all over the world here recently. But for me, my whole routine is I wake up in the morning, wake up at 4:30, and I read, I write, I plan, I pray, and then I go work out. I have an hour 15 that it's running, working out. And then by 4:30 to 7:38, I'm ready to crush my day. And so from calls like this, like I'm very routine driven, but also like 30 minute schedule. And then when I travel, I try to keep the routine as best as I can. It just depends what it is. I mean, it's always changing for me.
Sure. I mean, it's a remarkable level of energy that you've got. And the beauty of that is that you're making such a difference. One of the things you talked about, and one of the things we're really keen to understand a little bit more about, is if you had to tell our listeners and the people who are watching the show, what about video marketing, because that's part of what you are and what you're doing. What is it, if you had to say, look, these three things really do make a difference when it comes to video marketing?
Yep.
What are they?
It communicates a message and a story, whether of you or your business and the offering. Okay. It stays on top of mind. When people see that, they're more likely to do something with it. It is awareness. It's the quickest thing right now that can grow on social media, but also it's a way to engage somebody. They can see it, they can hear it. And if you do it in the right way, in terms of how you communicate the message or how you edit the video, it draws emotion. People buy from emotion. People do act on emotion. And so that's what video does. And how I even discovered this was when we did our campaigns back in crowdfunding, we raised a lot of money. And so what I found out is the video that was the most captivating, that draw the most emotion, that had the right call to action, the right features, turned into the most revenue. But also I've raised $200 and some thousand for charities over the years. And it came from the emotion that came from video. So that's what it is.
In your book, do you describe exactly what those, I don't know, techniques are that actually generate that emotion? Because I'd be really interested in that.
I do. The book shares, it's funny because my wife and I both write our own perspective of the journey. Okay. So it's more like telling our story, telling the stories of success from other people. But I also talk about just my own kind of core beliefs in life. And how I've been able to have the success I've had, but also I share the failures too. And so it talks about how you tell a powerful story and what you can do through video with it.
Yeah. So a lot of it is to do with storytelling, because that's where the emotion comes from. I know I'm knee deep in Russell Brunson at the moment and his stuff, and he talks about emotion being maybe half of the game, and then the logic being another 30%, and then basically fear, as he calls it, fear of missing out and stuff like that.
And that's 100%. I love what Russell Brunson's doing. I mean, storytelling is the most powerful thing that we have, and that's why video is just a way to tell a story. Because think about it, we've been doing it for thousands of years. Whether you look at the Bible is telling stories, Napoleon Hill's work is telling stories, Steve Jobs told great stories, Martin Luther King. It's all forms of telling stories, and video is just another way, a medium to be able to communicate it effectively.
Yeah.
Even like, I'll give you an example of Russell Brunson. So my director was a part of the project Operation OUR. Yeah. And they went and filmed and basically highlighted what was happening in different countries with human trafficking, sex trafficking, which is so sad. Mm-hmm. They created this project, this film, and they showed it at one of Russell Brunson's events. And it was with Tony Robbins. And I believe they raised about $10 million in a couple days.
Yeah, I've come across
from that storytelling. Yeah. And that's why I believe in it so much, because it's beyond making money. It's making a bigger impact in the world.
Well, I guess it is making money, but it's a different objective to the money that you're making. Yes. But in effect, if you can stop or eliminate or reduce the impact of people trafficking,
money is a tool. Just because you make a lot of money, people think, oh, it's just okay. You get all these material things. Yeah. No, you can make a lot of money, and you can use that tool to
absolutely
help in different causes, whether it's human trafficking, hunger. Sure. Establishing education for people. And that's why I'm really passionate about building wealth, because I can put it towards good. Guys, I wear the same shirt every single day. I wear black. I've been doing it for 5 years. I am very simple. I don't have
do you wash that cars. Shirt? Do you wash that shirt?
I wash it. I have about 40 of these.
You do?
And I just keep wearing the same thing, but it's simplicity. And for me, I like to use my money to not only grow personally, but to give back in different ways.
I think that's so important, Kevin, don't you?
Absolutely. It must be great not to have to think about what you have to wear every morning.
It's a game changer, guys.
Yeah. I'm wearing a different shirt this afternoon than this morning, because we had another podcast this morning. I don't want to look the same every time I have a podcast. But then again, if I have a black shirt...
See, if you just wore the black shirt or
it wouldn't matter.
The same outfit, it wouldn't matter anymore.
It would not matter. Although I've got to say, they'd probably fade after all those washes, I would imagine. But you probably got
one of our regular guests, Graham. I think he's been on the show 3 times now. Big Ian. Big Ian always has the same shirt, waistcoat, tie on. So, a definite trademark. But again, doesn't have to think about what he's going to wear.
No, no, honestly, it definitely suits you, and it suits the sort of Tom Cruise look, which I think you're fashioning.
Tom Cruise.
I got it back there, don't I? But seriously, you've been. I love the idea that you lived in different cities. How many cities did you get through?
We set the goal to live in 12 cities in 12 months.
Wow.
We ended up living in 6. Right. And we filmed a 5-part series. So it was, but we traveled through 43 states that year. It was a lot harder than I thought. I'm like, because think about it, you go into a city you don't know, you got to find a place to live, and then you got to film a show, and then you got to go to the next city and the next city. It was, that was hard. It was the biggest challenge, but I'll tell you, we grew so much from that year.
I guess you'd have got a lot of friends as well, because at the end of the day, it's not just the fact you're living in the city, but you're meeting people.
You're meeting people, and when you're going in and you say, oh, we're filming a show, that helps get attention. So we got on local morning shows. We did fundraisers. We got some cool opportunities in every city. And that was a big thing too, because I built up connections in all these different places, which now it helps with everything I'm doing. You go to a city, I know somebody there, and I can probably connect you to the right person.
Have you been blessed with kids yet?
No kids.
No kids yet.
It's we have no plans for kids. I mean, there's always a sacrifice in life at anything you do, and with what I do, I mean, I could have a kid. It would obviously limit some of the things I do. And I'm just not ready for that. I'm very happy with what I do.
So your mum and dad are probably thinking, get on with it. Because I know how it feels, because my kids are about your age. So basically, get on with it, Sophie. So just in case she's watching. But no, seriously, I do understand that. And you say it's a sacrifice, but maybe in a couple of years' time, you might see it in a different way. Who knows?
You might have to start. I still got time.
You might have to start wearing white shirts. I think maybe that might just do it for you, But or a black and white stripe. I'm preempting what Kevin's just about to say, because Newcastle United play in black and white stripes. But what can I say?
That's it, Graham. If I was going to wear one shirt every day, I'd probably be on this podcast in black and white every week.
Yeah, I know. What can I say? That was just too much damage.
Brandon, we touched a little bit on the movie Think and Grow Rich. Tell us a bit more about that.
So, for one, there's a book for people that don't know. There's a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's written in 1947, I believe it was. And what he did is he spent his whole life figuring out what was a secret to success in life. And so he interviewed successful businessmen and women, and also people that had could be considered failures in life. They were successful and then they kind of let it all go. Some people just gave up. And he learned what worked and didn't work. And some of the people he interviewed were Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Andrew Carnegie, you name it. And so what he did is he put the principles into 13 principles. There's actually 3 extra ones that are in the book, like persistence, it's sixth sense, it's all these different things, the mastermind principle. And so that book had sold 130 million copies. 6 years ago, they were in the process, 6 or 7 years ago, they were creating this film on the book and docudrama. So theatrical scenes that actually reenacted different parts of the book. And then also people being interviewed, like myself, people that had applied the principles and had success in their own life. And so some of the people in the film that we had is Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank, business partner Kevin Harrington, Grant Cardone. They had Lewis Howes, you name it. They had him in this film. Bob Proctor, bless his soul. He was one of the biggest advocates of that. And so they came to me, they saw me from doing a video, and they saw I was preaching Think and Grow Rich. They said to me, hey, we're looking for somebody your age group. I was 26, 27 at the time, to be in this film because you're a huge advocate and you've had your own version of success. Sure. And they said, we're actually looking to raise money through crowdfunding. And so when they came to me, they're about 30% through the project. I came on board as a producer. I helped them raise like $400,000 or $500,000 through crowdfunding and different resources. And then I ended up getting in the film. And so that was how I got involved. And the show is, it's crazy because people reach out to me every week. They've watched the movie. It's in Spanish, it's in English, it's in Czech Republic. It's all through streaming, and you can buy it online. Netflix wanted to do a deal with us, but it didn't make sense. And so I'm seeing it everywhere. Like, I'm in different languages and everything. I have a small little 2-minute stint in the film. But that's the project, and it is really cool. We did the premiere in 2017. I actually proposed to my wife today, the day before in LA, and we did the red carpet premiere. And the show it's been seen by millions of people, and and that was like one of my big things, to be able to use my specialized knowledge, crowdfunding, video, and all that to help more people. And I was honored to be a part of that. And we had a great team, a lot of people that it took to really build that, because it wasn't an easy project.
The way in which you're staged right now is your eyes pretty much are on the 2/3. You know the principles, don't you? You kind of videography. I did a little course some years ago with my son and my eldest son, and he basically and I went through this and looked at photography and so forth. And there's a lot of photography that just goes into video making, especially when your eye's supposed to be on the 2/3 line, etc. This is you, isn't it? You do that. You stage things. So I love the black shelf. Your shirt's black, etc. Your hair looks like it's black at the moment. 10 years time, it'll be great. It'll be great. Don't worry about that. Yeah, but or like mine, it might not be here. It's just a large parting. But no, the staging is really important when it comes to videography, isn't it?
It is, and I'll say this: like, I put together the pieces that create a great video. I personally can't run a camera if my life depended on it. I shoot most of my content with my iPhone.
Yeah.
I do shoots, but I bring in whether the script writer, the sound person, the director, the cinematographer, the people that are really good at that.
Yeah.
And I bring in the right talent, and I create a community and experience that creates that. And I execute it. I get it done. And so that's what I do. Like in terms of like, hey, if I'm going to give you best tips on lighting or anything like that, I'm not the best at that, but I will tell you, I understand the mechanics of how to bring it together and actually distribute it. Because a lot of people can create a video, but the biggest part is, how do you distribute it where it actually gets the result that you need? And that's whether it's on social media, it's through a streaming platform, it's sending via text. That's what I really understand. It's the marketing side of it. How do you market it? How do you distribute it?
And that distribution that you're talking about, is there anything that you can share with us that would say, think about this?
I will tell you this, keep it simple. If you're starting with creating content, just start with your phone.
Yeah.
I have an iPhone. I mean, it's crazy. You can go in 4K with this phone. You can create really good content.
That's right.
And create it yourself. You don't need somebody else. You can literally create it selfie style or set it up. Share who you are. Share what you do. Share your best advice. Share your tips, and let people know where they can find more about you. And post it on your social media. I will create a video a day. I'll post it to my Facebook, my LinkedIn, my Instagram, my Twitter, and sometimes I'll post to YouTube, other platforms.
Wow.
Content is king. The more you can put out great content, the more people see you. They're going to know who you are. They're going to understand that's what you do for a living. And then over time, they're going to reach out to you, which will lead for you to achieve your goal, whether it's getting more clients, it's raising money, it's whatever that is. Yeah. And so because I've been doing it for so long, I see how it works. The problem is most people, they see it and like, is it ever going to work? They don't know how to do it effectively, but also it is a long game too. I'm not going to create a video and it's going to just happen tomorrow. But if you stick with it, you're building a brand, you're building awareness. And if you do it in the right way, it's going to help you achieve your end goal.
I don't know about you, Kevin, but this young man is incredibly impressive. Think and Grow Rich, TV series, book. Can't wait to get my hands on that book. There's a lot of stuff going on in there. I love the idea. It's both of you and your wife's perspective. It'll be like, well, he said it this way, but it was really that way. I
totally different way.
Yeah. Her perspective is bound to be different from yours.
It was.
There are three.
It was that easy.
Though, Graham, aren't there? There's going to be his view, her view, and the truth. How are we going to get the truth?
Well, who knows?
Her view, my view, and then what happened. It totally different perspectives, and that's the part I love. It's like you get to see both sides of the story.
Yeah, that is so interesting as a concept anyway, because you both live in the thing. And you both had different perspectives, but which may or may not have been because you were both upset with each other at one particular place or one.
Oh, definitely event. Were. Huh.
Yeah, I mean that. We've all.
The wedding was almost called off a couple of times. It was definitely not easy.
No, but here you are. You're still telling the story. You've got, you're doing well, and in another 5 years, or maybe even 10 years at your age, you're mid-40s. What kind of environment do you want for yourself and for your wife?
Yeah, I want to use my influence and abilities to make the biggest impact and work at things at the highest level that are going to help the most people. I will work all day. I'm not afraid to work. I've been doing it my whole life, but I want to work smart and use my voice to really help other generations, but also use my talents and connections to do that as well, create a platform for that. And just continue to be a better husband and just being the best version of myself for my family, my nieces and nephews. And 10 years from now, it's hard to say. I mean, I'll tell you this, 10 years ago, looking back, I was not doing that well. I was struggling. Heck, even 3 years ago, I was almost bankrupt. And so I had to start over from everything. And now I'm in a much better place. And now how can I push the limits and keep getting better and keep growing? And that's where I'm at right now.
You talk about a lot of work, a lot of hard work. How much of it is really work? How much of it do you feel as though it's like work?
So it honestly, for me, when you say work, like I love what I do. Like I enjoy it. I mean, I get to speak, I get great content. So it's obviously going and doing the motions, right? but it's the discipline to stay on top of your game. It's easy for people when they see some different levels of success to get lazy, to live in their past and to not take it to the next level. I'm always looking to accelerate to the next level. And so with that, it's commitment. I mean, I love traveling. I love seeing the world, but then that means I'm away from home sometimes. Yeah. I'm going and sometimes it's not fun being on a plane nonstop or being laid over where you got to spend the night in a random city. And so, yeah, some of that's work. But I am living my dream. It's, it's really disciplined enough to keep going out of your comfort zone. For every level, there's another level, they say. And so every level you keep going up, you're going to have to keep challenging yourself. And I got to always reinvent myself and live as if I could lose everything. I live as if I'm the underdog and still looking back when I had that, where I had no money and was trying to prove myself. I don't let anything get to me. Ego will kill you. No ego. I just keep growing and being the best I can be.
And is the reverse of that the thing that is probably your biggest worry if you allow worry to enter your life, that it's the fear of not having it, maybe? Or losing it.
This could be a blessing and a sin. It is the fear of not being seen and not having an impact. Yeah. And so like the problem with that is, when is enough? And it's constantly going and growing. And sometimes there is no balance in life. There is no balance, because when you take away from one thing, you're going to another. So sometimes I have to have a conversation with myself and say, okay, I do need to go and spend more time with family, or I need to go do this, because the people that are hugely successful, let's say in their own industry, you look at a Tom Cruise, or let's say Tom Cruise, for example.
Sure.
Think about the commitment and sacrifice he had to make to be able to achieve what he did.
Yeah.
And so that has its side effects too. And so I'm sure he definitely would say it's worth it, but there's probably times where he's like, oh, this part of my life isn't great. Yeah. And so that's for anybody that's achieved something big in life. There's going to be sacrifice. There is no way around it.
Well, if there is ever going to be a Tom Cruise Mark II, then I'm sure you could, have a chat with him and say, look, I'll tell you what, Tom, just take it easy for a few months and I'll be you.
He's going to be a bit old for the next Top Gun movie, isn't he? So he's going to need Brandon to stand in for him.
Doesn't Tom Cruise look so good? Isn't it crazy the fact, like, he was, I think, in his 20s, and now he's 60. He looks great. He doesn't even look like he aged.
I was once in an event where he was a few rows ahead of me, and first of all, he's quite small, relatively. I mean, I'm not the tallest guy, but basically, boy, it's like he enters the room, and people are so attracted to him. And I'm not really surprised, because he's just got that X factor in it, and there's something about him that we all like. And his most recent film, which I haven't seen yet, but I've heard reports,
it's really good,
awesome. So I don't think you'd be too much of a failure if you were a penny behind him, but also a penny metaphorically behind him in terms of the impact that he's had. So I think you've got a hell of a future in front of you, Brandon. And we, Kevin and I, are both extremely grateful that you joined us today on the Next 100 Days podcast. Thank you.
Well, quite a story, Graham. Well, quite a number of stories.
Yeah.
A man that has had his finger in many pies.
Yeah.
But the one thing that comes out of that is storytelling and the power of storytelling. Brandon told us a lot of stories about himself and his experiences actually in the podcast. But his job is to tell story on video.
Yeah. And if you are listening, he has just a huge energy. Him and his wife go and live in different cities around America, and they create content. They create a show. They create a book. It's like they're never done. They're always trying to. People like Brandon, his wife and others, are always trying to find that place in their heart, in their ambition. And it's never quite there. As you said, there's almost like you get to a level, there's another level. And the more that he hangs out with the Kevin Harringtons and other people, he was talking about John Le Dumas, who's done 3,000 interviews. The more that you hang out with these people, the greater the kind of end goal that you probably didn't know existed, but all of a sudden it exists because you're seeing it in other people. Whereas if we're not talking to these people, unfortunately, we have talked to Brandon, and it gives you, even at 33-year-old, it gives you a huge lift in terms of where you should be setting your expectations. And a lot of his work has come from video marketing, how I present things, whether that's crowdfunding or whatever it is, through video, the power of video.
Absolutely. And look at the way he's moved through various different businesses, different things that he's excelled at.
Yeah.
Never be afraid to flip, never be afraid to pivot.
No, absolutely so.
I asked him what his purpose was, and he said to be the best version of him.
Yeah. Well, isn't that...
Not to be the best video marketer or the best ice salesman.
No, but he'd readily admit that. Even his strength in video marketing isn't so much the technical elements of it, but I got the impression that it was the ability to pull everything together, which means that he has the sort of inspiration, the point that you're trying to get across, and that all those bits of the story, whether that's the videographer or whether it's a copywriter or whatever it's going to be, are pulled together in such a way that it delivers that storytelling that is going to get the most, whatever it is, the most likes, the most money, the most, raising for fundraising, whatever it's going to be. That's his real talent. And it's that never give up, that power that is pushing himself through the work to get to a place for his clients. That seems to be a special subject.
Certainly does.
Well, today it's been another fine podcast. I've been Graham Arrowsmith.
I've been Kevin Appleby. Goodbye.
Goodbye.